This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Coming to you live from the Circus Sportsbook here in downtown Las Vegas. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Round 3 of the Masters coming to a close, and it is moving day indeed. We'll track the leaderboard, take a look at what we have as far as the updated odds to win the Masters with round 4 coming up tomorrow. Plus, we have the NHL regular season winding down, some teams jockeying for positioning as the season is days away from ending. No NBA games here tonight because all 30 teams will be in action tomorrow. So we'll take a look at the final day of the NBA regular season. And then we have Major League Baseball in progress. Plenty of live betting opportunities right here on Live Bet Saturday. But first, let's talk about what we saw today in round 3 of the Masters. An absolute clinic put on by Rory McIlroy, who finishes at 12 under for the tournament after 3 rounds, 6 under on the day, and has a 2-stroke lead going into the final round tomorrow over Bryson DeChambeau, who, with a birdie on 18, moves to 10 under for the tournament, 2 strokes back of Rory McIlroy. Rory set a record to start this round. Became the first golfer at Augusta to post 3s or less on the first 6 holes. That's right. Birdie on 1, eagle on 2, birdie on 3, a par 3 on 4, a birdie on 5, and a par 3 on 6. 6 threes to start the round, a record for Augusta. And then a bogey on 8, a bogey on 10, kind of, looked like it might have derailed his round a bit. But then with a birdie on 13 and an eagle on 15, Rory extended his lead to 4 strokes. It was then cut down to 3 and eventually down to 2 because of a strong finish from Bryson DeChambeau, who birdied 15, 16, and 18. So we're going to have quite the run here, quite the race to finish on Sunday's final round of the Masters. Can Rory complete the career Grand Slam? He has had multiple opportunities to complete this career Grand Slam, and the best finish was 2022 when he came in second place at Augusta. And after missing the cut a couple of years ago, he is playing the best golf of his career right now and is in prime position after a bad first round. And you wonder, what would Rory's score be right now if he didn't struggle to end the first round? And what I mean by that is Rory was 4 under par through 14 holes of his first round. And then a double bogey on 15 and a double bogey on 17 had him finish with a 72 at even par after the first round. He shoots a 66 in round 2, another 66 here in round 3, and Rory is 2 strokes up on Bryson DeChambeau at 12 under par. Bryson, meanwhile, he finishes with a 69 here in round 3. He had a 68 in round 2, a 69 in the first round. He is at 10 under, 2 strokes back. Then Corey Connors is at 8 under after a 2 under round 70 here today. Patrick Reed is 6 under. Ludwig Oberg, who really surged up the leaderboard here today with a 3 under 69. He is also tied for 4th at 6 under. Justin Rose, who was your round 1 leader, is at 5 under. A forgettable third round for Justin Rose, 3 over 75. So he opens up the Masters with a first round 65. He's 3 strokes up on the entire field. It was at this point where, listen, I have 2 tickets on Rory to win. I bet Rory to win before the event. I bet Rory to win after the first round. But I also bet Justin Rose to win after the first round because the dude had a 3-stroke lead and you were still getting plus 700 on him. So I said, hey, do I think he's going to fall off? Probably. But if you're giving me an opportunity to take a guy at plus 700 that has a 3-stroke lead, I'm going to take it. And a 71 in round 2, and then a very forgetful 75 here on round 3. Justin Rose at 5 under. You wonder what could have, would have, should have been, even if he just finishes the round even here today in round 3. He's sitting here at 8 under and in 3rd place. But at 5 under, not looking good. Several bogeys on the card, including finishing with a bogey on 16 and a bogey on 18 for Justin Rose. But now that we are through moving day at the Masters, let's take a look at our updated odds to win. Rory McIlroy, who prior to Bryson DeChambeau birdieing 18 was upwards of a minus 300 to a minus 350 favorite, is now settled in here at minus 200. So Rory opened up plus 600, 615, 650 after round 1 in the 750, 725 range, and now minus 200 because of the strong finish from Bryson DeChambeau. Again, I was watching the odds boards prior to Bryson finishing his round. Once Rory finished, he was minus 350. He goes down to minus 300, back down again to minus 200, as Bryson is 2 strokes back of him at 10 under. As for Bryson, he is at plus 240. So this is the race right now. We have Rory minus 200, Bryson plus 240. Corey Connors is next at plus 1,600. And Corey Connors would have some work to do, 4 strokes back of Rory McIlroy. And then we go further down the list. Scotty Scheffler, who was the odds-on favorite prior to round 1 teeing off, plus 4,000. Same thing with Ludwig Oberg, 40-1, Patrick Reed, 80-1, and both Scheffler and Oberg are at 6 under. Scheffler's at 5 under, exactly, excuse me. Patrick Reed is at 6 under with Oberg. Scotty Scheffler at 5 under. No reason to take a flyer on any of those guys. This will be a 2-man race, in my opinion, going into the final round. And hopefully, I mean, for yours truly, it's going to be Rory that finishes this thing off. I love the position that I'm in right now. Seeing him at minus 200, I think, is good odds. If you want to take a flyer in on Rory, there might be other ways to get about it. Look at your sports books. Different sports books offer different props, but you might be able to, you know, instead of betting him at minus 200 to win, you can get maybe a little bit less than minus 200 odds and just bet on his score for the final round. If you think Rory's going to shoot under par, which I think he should, if you look at his tournament so far, 72 even on round 1, a 66 and a 66. You know, you could bet Rory to shoot under 70 and a half or whatever the odds are that your sportsbook offers. That would be something I would take a look at rather than doing the minus 200 on him to win, because I mean, what if he slips up? And there's a chance that he could, you know, shoot a 70, 69 or whatever, and then lose because Bryson shoots a 66. We have seen things happen in the final round of a Masters, and we will see if the pressure gets to Rory, which it has in the past, and he has choked away leads. We'll see if this is one that he closes out. As I mentioned earlier, I think he's playing the best golf of his career right now, and what a great story it would be for Rory to just finish this career Grand Slam and win the Masters here in 2025. I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnAir. This is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We'll get more into the Masters with Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper from the Cut Maker podcast, will join me in about a half an hour from now. We'll get his thoughts on what he's witnessed so far and his projections for the 4th round coming up tomorrow. We have Major League Baseball in progress right now, as well as hockey. One game that we are sweating out in the NHL is the over 5.5 between the Buffalo Sabres and the Florida Panthers. Your only game in action right now on the ice. This not looking great. 5 minutes into the second period, it is a 1-0 lead for the Buffalo Sabres. Florida not playing a lot of their regulars. In fact, Vitek Vanacek is in net for them here in this one. So I figured I would pick on, you know, a backup to the backup to the backup and some of these other players maybe not playing with the same type of intensity. Buffalo, this was a scoreless game until Buffalo scored a power play goal in the final seconds of the first period. So I'm hoping that we can get, at least get me 2 goals here in the second period. If I'm at 3 going into the third, I feel pretty good about getting an over 5.5. Taking a look at the live line right now, and the live total is at 5.5. And just speaking into existence, Scott, the Florida Panthers have just scored. You love to see it. We have a 1-1 game there in Sunrise between the Panthers and the Sabres. Love it. Absolutely love to see it. We have a couple of games getting underway shortly. The Winnipeg Jets will take on the Blackhawks in Chicago. Winnipeg a heavy favorite, but what can we expect from a team that has essentially locked up all there is to lock up in the NHL here? President's Trophy, pretty much theirs. There's still 3 games left. They're 3 points ahead of Washington. So if they're playing for the President's Trophy, that's a little bit of motivation. But if not, they're locked into first place in the Central and the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, which means home ice advantage for them throughout the postseason there. So motivation will play a factor. We'll take a look at these other games that are starting shortly coming up, as well as the live action in Major League Baseball. Once again, I'm Scott Seidenberg, and this is Live Bet Saturday, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Live Bet Saturday, I'm Scott Seidenberg, right here with you on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, always on Twitter at Scott's On Air. As we progress throughout the Major League Baseball schedule, the rest of the night here tonight, we'll have an opportunity to take a look at opportunities for betting tomorrow. As it turns out, there's lots of systems that I've been tracking all season long. We'll get to those later on in the program. And I can tell you right now, the Red Sox will probably be a play for me tomorrow, every which way possible, as the Red Sox have dropped the first 2 games of this series to the White Sox. Boy, what a weird season it's been for Boston, a team that I'm pretty high on, and I have them to make the playoffs. But Garrett Crochet pitching tomorrow for Boston against his former team on a mound that he's comfortable on. Seems like a recipe for success for the Red Sox, but we'll get to that coming up a little bit later on. The puck is about to drop between the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs in Toronto, the Jets and the Blackhawks from Chicago. And we have right now the Maple Leafs minus 220 and the Winnipeg Jets are minus 325. That is just heavy odds for the Winnipeg Jets, who, like I said, have pretty much everything wrapped up that you could wrap up. The only motivation would be right now playing for a President's Trophy, and which goes to the team that has the best record in the NHL. They are 3 points up on the Washington Capitals for that. Connor Hellebuck is in net for them in this one, though, and he is not only chasing down the Vezina Trophy, but the Hart Trophy as the league's most valuable player. So if you think that they're trying to get him this award, then maybe the team plays, with a little bit of extra intensity ahead of him. We haven't seen a goaltender win the Hart Trophy in quite some time. In fact, you're going to have to go back to Carey Price with the Montreal Canadiens several years ago. If you recall, you were listening to this show right around the All-Star break maybe, or the Four Nations face-off. But we gave out Connor Hellebuck to win the Hart Trophy at plus 400, as well as the Jets to win the Cup at plus 1,600. Connor Hellebuck right now minus 225, the favorite to win the Hart Trophy as the NHL MVP. As far as the futures market is concerned for the Cup, the Dallas Stars are the favorite at plus 650. Winnipeg, you could still get them at plus 1,100, which is crazy to me for a team that has the best record in the NHL and the MVP of the league as their goaltender. But it's all about matchups. And if you look at the standings and you're looking at who they're going to have to play in the postseason, That obviously makes a lot of sense. As the number 1 overall seed, they will play the second wild card in the Western Conference, which will likely be St. Louis, Minnesota, or Calgary. Calgary not out of it just yet. And then we're talking about a second-round matchup, where you're going to have to face a very good team, whether it's, Dallas or Edmonton or the Kings, and you're looking at the Golden Knights possibly in the conference final. It's just the Western Conference is really good. So I understand that. Odds right now, as I mentioned, Stars are your favorite. Panthers the second favorite at plus 800. Avalanche plus 850. Lightning 9-1. Oilers 9-1. VGK 10-1 to win the Stanley Cup. Speaking of the Golden Knights, they will be in action coming up a little bit later on as they host the Nashville Predators. And the one thing to keep an eye on with the Knights is they're in first place, and they look to be well in control in first place as they have 105 points compared to LA's 101. You got 3 games left. Just get a point. Like, every point's going to count here. Go into overtime, secure yourself a point, make sure you stay in first place. The only way that LA is going to catch you is if LA gets 6 points for winning out and then you lose in regulation in the next 3 games. And you finish with 105, and they finish with 107. If they get 2 wins, they're going to finish at 105. And if you lose out, you got the tiebreaker. So there's really, you just get a point. Just go into overtime. Just get yourself a point here. And playing against Nashville, a team that's already out of it, you should have a decent chance to get that point here tonight on home ice, as Vegas is one of the best home teams in the entire NHL, looking at a home record here of 28 wins, 9 regulation losses, 3 overtime losses. Meanwhile, Nashville on the road, just 10 wins in regulation. 10, 25, and 5 on the road this year for Nashville. Jack Eichel has been dealing with a little bit of an illness, and he hasn't played in several games, so I would imagine that I would imagine something that to keep an eye on here for Eichel, how he plays down the stretch here, and how the Knights decide to handle their rotation and everything as the regular season's winding down and everybody's looking to get healthy here for the postseason. Adin Hill is scheduled to be in net tonight, and it won't be UC Saros in net, the starter for the Nashville Predators. It will be Justus Annunen with a 3.15 goals against average and a 8.84 save percentage. So there's a reason why the Knights are favored in this game tonight. That game is coming up a little bit later on, about 2.5 hours or so from now. Also coming up later on, we got the Utah Hockey Club at the Dallas Stars. The Minnesota Wild will take on the Canucks in Vancouver, and the Blues are up in Seattle to take on the Kraken. The Vegas Golden Knights are the biggest favorite of the board here for the remainder of the night. Still a 1-1 game in Florida between the Sabres and the Panthers with 7 minutes to go in the second period. In order for me to get this over, I need a goal. Well, I'd love to get 2, but I at least need 1 goal here before the end of this period, because if all I need is 2 goals in the third, I think I can get it. But if I need 3, that's absolutely going to be a challenge. So get me 1 goal here in the final 6 minutes or so of the first period, and I'll feel pretty good about where I'm at right now. Let's take a look at what's going on the Major League Baseball scoreboard. In progress right now, top of the 5th inning. We'll now go into the bottom of the 5th inning in Cleveland. The Guardians and Royals are tied at 1. Low-scoring affair, just 1 hit for Kansas City, and that was a Vinny Pasquantino solo home run in the top of the 4th inning. So Luis Ortiz, who was 0-2 coming into this game with 2 mediocre at best starts. His first game gave up 7 runs to the San Diego Padres, and then settled in his second start, allowing just 3 runs over 6 innings to the Angels. He is absolutely dealing. The only hit he has allowed in this game a Vinny Pasquantino solo home run in the top of the fourth inning. He's got 8 strikeouts with just 1 walk, allowing, as I mentioned, that 1 hit, the solo home run. Meanwhile, Michael Lorenzen has gone 4 solid innings as well, allowing 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. We have a 1-1 game here going to the bottom of the 5th inning, where the Guardians are going to be a little bit of a nice favorite here because being at home in this spot, and also the opportunity to score and go into the bullpens. Right now, the Guardians live line, they are minus 220 against the Royals. So if you want to take a flyer on Kansas City, plus 170. But the way that Ortiz is dealing, and let's look at the pitch count here. He is at 82 pitches. He's going to be coming out of this game soon. Lorenzen, meanwhile, only at 63. But bullpen advantage goes to Cleveland. Elsewhere, bottom of the 3rd inning in Cincinnati, the Reds and the Pirates are scoreless. Andrew Heaney on the mound for Pittsburgh. The Reds do have the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 3rd inning with 2 outs. Live line, Reds are minus 166. The Guardians are now up to minus 315 as they get the first runner on base here in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Angels, a 2-0 lead, over the Astros there in the 1st inning. So if you had the Yurfee, the yes run in the 1st inning, you cashed it as the Angels scored twice in the top of the 1st inning on a Mike Trout single, scoring 2 runs off of the Astros starter Ryan Gusto. On the mound for the Angels is Ty Anderson. They're in the bottom of the 1st inning there in Houston. Still to come, we got the Brewers and the Diamondbacks at the top of the hour, Rockies at the Padres, Cubs at the Dodgers, and the Rangers take on the Mariners in Seattle. Kumar Rocker gets another chance on the bump for the Rangers. You want to know where the real money is going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you the insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa is known for taking big bets from pro bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective, so that means you're getting the real action, not just the public money, but the kind of wagers that move lines. You can see the percentage of bets versus the percentage of handle on every game across every major sport. Get VSiN's summer special right now for only $59 until August 1st at vsin.com/subscribe. This is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you, Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Panthers have taken a 2-1 lead over the Sabres with 4.5 minutes to go in the second period. Loving that right now. Live total still at 5.5, but I feel really good about the over 5.5. So if you want to jump in right now on the over 5.5, I like our position here with a 2-1 score with 4 minutes left to go in the second period. Still minus 110 on that over 5.5. In fact, going down now, minus 105 on the over 5.5. But I only need 2 goals in that. I need 3 goals actually. So, here's the problem: you get a tie at 2-2. I don't know whether to be excited about that or be upset about it, because on the one hand, you think, hey, if I can just get a 3-2 game, we got the empty netter for a 4-2 cash. But at 2-2, you wonder if the teams kind of play for overtime. I don't think that's the case. You look at the standings here, Florida right now is in 3rd place, 2 points back of Tampa, but it doesn't matter for them because they're going to, if they just stay in 3rd place, getting up to 2nd or 3rd doesn't matter. Yes, it's home ice advantage in that 2-3 matchup, but we're talking about playing Tampa no matter what. And that is just, it's a great commute. You go from Sunrise to Tampa, from Tampa to Sunrise. It's a great series. And you don't have to travel that much. It's the best opportunity for a series for Florida and for Tampa as well, as opposed to having to go to, Ottawa or go to Toronto, go wherever you have to go to play in that. Now, is there a risk of Ottawa maybe catching up to Florida because Ottawa's at 92 points, Florida's at 96? Maybe. If we look at the schedule for the remaining for the Ottawa Senators and their chance to catch, they don't play Florida anymore. They have Philly, Chicago, and Carolina. 6 points up for grabs. They can finish with 98. Florida just needs one win out of their final 3 games, including today. So if they win this one, they'll pretty much lock themselves in, and then they have the Rangers and the Lightning, which I'm so curious what that's going to be like. The final day of the regular season on Tuesday, the Panthers play the Lightning in a game that could count for home ice advantage, or the game could be meaningless and those two teams are going to play each other a couple of days later in the first round. You might just get backups after backups. Who knows, to see what that's going to play out like. But right now, would love another goal here. Panthers lead 2-1. I'd rather them go up 3-1, because at 3-1, not only do you have the opportunity for a 3-2 and then empty netter, but at 3-1, you still have empty net opportunities. 3-1 can become 4-1, 4-1 can become 4-2, 4-1 can even become 5-1. So I think I'd rather see 3-1 than 2-2. I don't want to see 2-2 because then Florida might be content playing keep away, not being aggressive, playing for overtime, knowing that securing a point would go a long way into making sure that they lock up that 3 seed at least and aren't a wild card team having to go play against either Toronto or Washington in the first round. So I'd much rather see 3-1 than 2-2. Elsewhere, we do have a goal by the underdog Blackhawks, who have a 1-0 lead over the Winnipeg Jets. No score between the Canadiens and the Maple Leafs. Looking at the live market right now, Jets are still slightly favored on the road. Remember, they were heavy favorites coming into the game. They are minus 120 right now. Blackhawks are minus 110. And the Canadiens and Maple Leafs, who are scoreless, Toronto still a big favorite at minus 215. I'm looking at my odds boards right now, and it looks like the Sabres-Panthers game is frozen. I hope that means a goal was scored, because I'm seeing 2-1, but the odds are frozen. Usually when the odds freeze, that means there's a change coming up. I would love for there to be another goal. Oh, you know why? We have a penalty. That's why. So looks like Buffalo will head to the power play, and that's why we have the odds being frozen there, because of a penalty that is coming up there. But 2:22 left to go in the second period. We have your live total still at 5.5. And it is plus 110. It is something I would take a flyer on, but then again, I was already on it before the game even started. Looking at Major League Baseball, Ellie De La Cruz has hit a grand slam for the Cincinnati Reds as they lead the Pirates 4-0. The Guardians did, in fact, score in that bottom of the 5th inning, so they have a 2-1 lead over the Royals now, top of the 6th inning, and the Angels a 2-0 lead over the Astros in the top of the 2nd. Here's your matchups that will be coming up a little bit later on. Brewers are at the Diamondbacks. We have Corbin Burns on the mound for Arizona. They are minus 180 favorites. Chad Patrick will get the start for the Milwaukee Brewers. The Rockies are at the Padres. And how many of you guys saw the new Rockies City Connect jerseys? They look like the Phoenix, Colorado Suns Rockies. I'm not a fan. But going for the Rockies will be Chase Dollander. And going for the hometown Padres is Kyle Hart. San Diego is a heavy favorite at minus 175 in this one. Cubs are at the Dodgers. Roki Sasaki on the mound for the Dodgers. They are minus 185. Ben Brown gets the start for the Cubbies. And then the Rangers are at the Mariners with Kumar Rocker on the mound for Texas. And Brian Wu for Seattle. The Mariners are minus 150. You know, I've been looking at a lot of things in baseball this year, and especially totals. When it comes to totals, I've been looking at the games that feature really low totals this year. If you look at the games that have a total of 6.5 or less, and I think we've only had one game that has had a 6 total. That was the game in Wrigley a couple of days ago that maybe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where it was so windy and cold that the temperature was like 30 degrees and whatnot. But this year, totals of 6.5 or less. Okay, get this. They are 7-2 to the over. So this year, totals of 6.5 or 6, and as I mentioned, we've only had that one game that was a 6, 7-2 to the over. And I always look at Seattle because those games, Seattle's a very, pitcher-friendly ballpark. You look at ballpark factors this year, and Seattle's like the lowest scoring ballpark. And I get it. It's not just the ballpark. It's the good pitching that they have as well, but also the weather up there. And it does lead to low-scoring games. And I always check Seattle's totals to see if it's at 6.5 or less. And if it is, I take a flyer on the over. It happened yesterday. And yesterday, it was Jacob deGrom on the mound. And I love me some Jacob deGrom. I have a Jacob deGrom American League Cy Young ticket that I was not happy with the way that he pitched yesterday. But deGrom's on the mound. Your total is 6.5. It's Bryce Miller against Jacob deGrom. And I played the over because it's total of 6.5. And what happened? Game went over with a 5-3 score. Here's been the 9 games that have had a 6.5 or 6-run total. And as I mentioned, only one game had the 6-run total, and that was the Cubs-Rangers game at Wrigley, April 7th. That was the one. Crazy weather in that one, so cold and windy. That's why, and that one went over because it was a 7-0 Cubs win. But the 2 unders that we've had was the Mariners. See, the Mariners, it's going to be a theme here. Mariners, Tigers. Look at this pitching matchup. Tarek Skubal, your reigning Cy Young winner, against Luis Castillo. Game in Seattle. Total of 6.5, 3-2 final score. That was your first under. And your next under was Giants-Reds with Logan Webb against Hunter Green. Total of 6.5, 2-0 Reds win. That one goes under. Every other game, we had 5-4 over, 5-4 over, 7-1 over, 7-0 over, 5-3 over, 7-0 over, 5-3 over. 7-2 to the overs. I also think something that's very interesting here, the home teams with the low totals, the home teams are actually 7-2 straight up. A 37.8% ROI if you're betting the home teams in these low total games. Total tonight in that Rangers-Mariners game is at 7. Doesn't exactly qualify just yet. You want to take your betting to the next level? Well, you got to do it with First Bet. Whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream Park, or the road to the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, First Bet puts the action at your fingertips. Sign up now, firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. Make sure you use promo code VSIN200. You'll score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today at firstbet.com. Let's get back into the Masters coming up next right here on Live Bet Saturday on VSIN.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network.
And whether you're at home or on the road or on the go, now there's more ways than ever to tune in to VSIN. You can stream us live on vsin.com, the VSIN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, or SiriusXM channel 158. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is Live Bet Saturday on VSIN, the Sports Betting Network. And joining us to talk about the Masters as we are through 3 rounds and on to the final round Sunday is Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper, the Cut Maker podcast on Twitter at CutMaker. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Your overall thoughts so far, what you've witnessed through 3 rounds at Augusta.
You know, it's one of those scenarios where I had no Rory going into the event just because I had no confidence in his ability to actually get it done. But it's one of those scenarios where it's like, in hindsight, it makes so much sense, right? I mean, you have the best player coming into the tournament who is in the best form, and arguably the best one of his career coming into the Masters, performing well. So it's one of these situations where I suppose I shouldn't be surprised, because he was playing phenomenal golf coming in, but he finally got it done. So a lot of times the pressure's been too much, or it seemed that way. Certainly looked that way at the end of the round, day in round one. But I mean, kudos to Rory. He's bounced back, and I think it's going to take a Herculean effort from Bryson to catch him. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah, we've certainly seen, as you mentioned, Rory collapse, and that's what it did look like at the end of round one. I have 2 tickets on Rory. I had him before the tournament, and then I also bet him after the first round just because the number I felt was still good. Also after the first round, I bet Justin Rose just because he was the leader and up by 3 strokes. And I figured you're going to give me plus 700 on a guy that's got a 3-stroke lead going into the second round. It was hard for me to pass that up. So I invested in Justin Rose only to watch him collapse. And after a 3-over round here on Saturday, he's just thinking, what if? Because if he just played even, he'd be sitting there with Corey Connors at 8 under in third place. What has gone wrong for Justin Rose after the first round?
You know, I think honestly a lot of it was sort of smoke and mirrors through 2 rounds anyway. When you looked at his ball striking metrics, he was leaning really heavily on the putter. And you know, at Augusta, unfortunately, you can't, if you lean too hard on one thing here, eventually it's going to collapse. You've really got to have your overall game going. And if you lean too hard on the putter, in his case, it wasn't sustainable. So, yeah, I was definitely not going to be on Rose. And, frankly, that's the reason that I was on Hideki Matsuyama going into today, right? Like, his ball striking numbers were best in the field, and it just shows you what can happen. You get a guy who's been striking the ball great, and, of course, he plays really well at. But this course, if you check out for 1 second mentally, it will eat you alive. It destroyed Hideki today. It's killed some others along the way. So it's, But one thing you do see, people who have generally played well, you look at the top of the leaderboard, you see your Brysons, your Rorys, your Corey Connors, your Scotty Schefflers, your Obergs, Patrick Reeds of the world. These are guys who have always, traditionally played well here. So there's no shocks at the top, but I would say that there are some guys that are shocked that they're not there, but I'm not shocked that the guys who are there are there. So it's going to be it's going to be fun tomorrow. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a little anticlimactic.
What has gone right for Bryson? I mean, a very strong finish here with birdies on 15, 16, and 18 to pull him within 2 of Rory McIlroy at 10 under. But has it been the short game? Is it the seconds? Is it the approach shots? Is he getting onto the greens early? What did you notice from Bryson that has put him into contention here?
Well, no, yeah, and when he's missed, he's done a good job at recovering, right? I mean, one of the nice things that Bryson does, like Rory, is they're 2 of the longer drivers of the ball in the field. And what Bryson's done a good job of is when he's found himself out of position, getting himself back in a good spot and avoiding the big numbers. So birdies are out here on this course, and depending on the pin positions tomorrow, the Sunday pins are always a lot of fun. So he's just done a good job of not making the huge mistake and taking advantage of the birdies when they're there.
Talking to Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper, the Cutmaker podcast on Twitter at CutmakerJeff. Joining me, Scott Seidenberg, on the Progressive Guest Line. This is Live Bet Saturday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. So Rory is sitting here at minus 200. Bryson is plus 270. And then we go long shots here. Corey Connors, who's in third at 8 under, he is 18-1. If you were going to place a bet on the 4th round only here, Jeff, what's a way that you would look to attack this?
I would look for a guy who can make a lot of birdies, right? Because if you're a chaser right now, you have nothing to lose. You're trying to make birdies. You're going to be really aggressive. I mentioned off air, I had a Ludwig Oberg ticket coming in. He struggled in round 2, played well in round 1, played well in round 3. He's a guy I think that could go low tomorrow. So if I'm looking at a market like most birdies, he's definitely a guy I would consider. Another guy who made a ton of birdies today, who could make birdies tomorrow, is Tom Hoge. He's like kind of more of a longer shot. But if you're looking for just pure birdie makers tomorrow in that sort of market, I think that's a market that could keep the Masters fun for you. I mean, if you're rooting for Rory along the way, but if you want have some action early, watch some of the guys going off early, and find something entertaining. I think a guy like Tom Hoge, who does make a lot of birdies, might be a fun market, a fun bet to make.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can bet. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. They have most birdies or better in round 4. And so just taking a look at that, you can get Hoge at 55-1 to make the most birdies in the 4th round. Your boy Ludwig Aberg here is at 22-1 to make the most birdies in the 4th round. Something that that would interest you here?
I think those are both very fun pizza money bets, right?
Yes.
I mean, you throw, whatever, you throw $20-$30 on those, and I think it'll make it interesting. But it would not surprise me at all if Hoge actually won that. He had, I think, 6 birdies today. So he had 4 bogeys, but again, that's not the bet.
Exactly.
It's who can make the most bogeys, and it's not a market you take a Patrick Reed in who's going to grind out pars or maybe make 1 or 2 birdies. You want an elite ball striker. It wouldn't shock me if Xander did. You've got to have a really good ball striker. I consider Oberg on his best day maybe the best ball striker on tour right now. It's just he lacks some consistency. So I like him in that bet, and I certainly like Tom Hoge, who's as good a long iron player as there is.
If Rory does complete this, he completes the career slam, and it's a huge weight off his chest and off the shoulders, whatever you want to, however you want to say it, Jeff. Would you then look to play Rory for as we continue through this season, as we continue through this schedule, because the pressure's off, and as you mentioned before, he's playing the best golf of his career, arguably? Would he be someone if he wins the Masters here, would you look to continue to ride Rory?
Yeah, I think he's in a scenario right now. I think you just said it. Once the pressure's off, he's won all the other majors, right? So I think he's almost on a free roll at that point. And he's gonna. I think for good reason, he will probably be the favorite. Whether he wins the Masters or not, I like him in the Open. I like him in the U.S. Open. I like him in all those situations. But we're not going to see the Scotty 3-1s anymore and the Rory 7-8-1s. We're going to see probably both of them 6-7-1 here going into the remaining majors, and it's going to be hard to not like Rory in those. He looks dominant right now after stubbing his toe. The fact that he got back up off the mat and battled back to really what looks like a dominant performance. Again, anything can happen tomorrow. We've seen collapses on Sunday many times, and seeing Rory sleep on the lead at Augusta is going to be really interesting. But he's shown a lot the last 2 days, a lot of intestinal fortitude, and I think he's going to be tough to beat.
At BetMGM right now, Rory to shoot 70 or lower is at even money. Would you place that bet?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. He's gonna have to win.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to win, right? I think that's a better price than you're gonna get on him to win. So yeah, I think if you like Rory to win, I think that's the bet you make, because because other guys are going to be aggressive. Somebody's going to shoot a number tomorrow.
Yeah. Somebody's
going to go low tomorrow, and we talked about Oberg. So let's say Oberg, let's say he gets to 12 under somehow. Rory's going to have to do something. He's not going to be able to take his foot off the gas. He's going to have to continue to be aggressive. Shoot 68 or so. But if he shoots 68 or so, I think he gets it done.
Jeff, appreciate the time. Good luck with your bets and enjoy the 4th round.
Take care. Appreciate it.
There he is, Jeff Seeley, golf handicapper, the Cut Maker podcast at Cutmaker Jeff on Twitter. Yeah, I'm looking at BetMGM. They have great bets here. Rory McIlroy specials. To make an eagle, he's 5-1. He made 2 today. So to make an eagle, he's plus 500. To shoot 70 or lower, though, is at even money. To me, a much better bet than betting him at minus 200 to win. Because if you like the minus 200 for him to win, he's not winning this tournament if he shoots a 71 or a 72. I'll tell you that right now. It's just not happening. So, even money to shoot 70 or lower? Let's go for it. We'll make that a best bet, in fact. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is Live Bet Saturday right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.